I remember life in Papua New Guinea for us and the shopping trips, especially in light of the panic buying that people have been doing here, which has now thankfully subsided somewhat. People have got the message and have understood that here in Australia we have more than enough food to go around and we don't need to hoard and panic buy like that. Maybe you've been caught up with that, maybe you haven't. The experience for us in Papua New Guinea was to go to a supermarket, and if you were looking for breakfast cereals, you would get to the section where they were, and it was usually fairly empty, and you might find a packet or two of Kellogg's cornflakes and maybe a couple of boxes of Weet-Bix, and that was a good day. Your choices were simple. After 9 years in Papua New Guinea, Ellie and I returned to Adelaide in Australia for a year of study leave. And it was a shock to us to go on our first shopping trip in one of those large supermarkets in Adelaide. And we were looking for breakfast cereals and got to the breakfast cereal aisle, and almost the entire aisle was devoted to breakfast cereals. When Ellie was confronted with that, she turned and fled the store in tears. The abundance of choices was too much. It was simply overwhelming. And we really do live in a land of abundance here in Australia, don't we? Our God is so good. He blesses us with so much. And yes, now in these days, we're called to live a little more simply. We're not able to do some of the things that we used to do and love doing, like going out for a coffee with friends in a cafe. We're not able to go out for a meal together. We're not able to have people around in our homes for a meal. And we do that for the greater good, for the respect of everyone's well-being and welfare and health. And it's okay for us to do that. When life is reduced to the simple, important things, that can be a blessing for us, and it's good for us to know that, as God's word says, if we have food and clothing, let us be content with these. And that lesson of contentment is an important and wonderful lesson for us all to learn. We can also know that with our fears and our anxieties, we can go to God and know that He will provide and He will give us. Whatever we need comes from His goodness. And as we move closer to another Easter festival, we are reminded of God's goodness in sacrificing His Son so that we can be in a relationship with Him now and forever. And that's the important thing, the relationship that we have with Jesus, which enriches and empowers our relationships with others. God's word beautifully tells us, He who did not spare His own Son, but freely gave Him up for us all, how will He not also, along with Him, graciously give us all things? And He does. So turn to God in your needs, and turn to Him with a spirit of gratitude and thankfulness too for all that He gives you. And know that He gives us His presence to live simply in these days. And may we do that knowing that we're doing it together and we're doing it for the greater good, for the benefit of others. And may His presence and the wonder and power of His love help us to do that so that we can be a blessing to the world around us. God bless you and us all as we live and walk together in the